Muhammed. As we can see right now on screen, the arrival of President el-Sisi, the President of the Republic, to Al-Manara International Conference Center to celebrate the anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, organized by the Ministry of Endowment. It is celebrating the behaviors and the ethics of Prophet Muhammad, and this was all seen in the behaviors and the ethics of all messengers and prophets who were protected by Allah, as He has created them to love mercy, truth and compassion. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, has reached a noble level, as he was considered to be the perfect human being due his nobleness and his high values. Let's here talk about the initiative of our ethics adopted by the state under the auspices of President el-Sisi. After technology wasted a lot of these ethics and morals that we have been applying for a number of years, things have changed because of technology. It made the human being turn the positive aspects of technology into negative ones. Everything has its pros and cons. For technology, there are some people who use technology to misguide people and misguide and brainwash the youth in particular. And here comes the importance of getting back to morals and ethics and the noble values and principles. So we need to follow into the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, especially when we are celebrating his anniversary. The morals and ethics of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is acknowledged by everybody, and even his enemies, the non-believers and the atheists, acknowledged these morals and acknowledged that he was honest and he was kind to both Muslims and non-Muslims, believers and non-believers. So we need to take Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, as our role model, as Allah has granted him all these noble morals, values and principles. All these sacred traits of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, were not gathered in any person but Prophet Muhammad, as Allah has prepared him for the revelation of Islam and for the revelation of all his teachings. One of these sacred traits known about him was that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was kind, compassion, and he never insulted anyone. He never raised his voice in roads or in markets, and he was always tolerant, and he was always forgiving, and he did not hit any servant, any woman or any child, and he did not hit anyone except in defending Islam, and he has defended all the people, and he has been fair to everybody, and he was only angry when the teachings of Allah were violated, and no person was facing injustice at his time. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, has never selected between two options except the smoother and the easier one. And whenever he got into his home, he was kind to his families. He used to serve himself, to do everything, and he would only speak about what matters to him. and peace and blessing be upon warned people and against being unjust. And he used to inspect his friends, ask about them and visit them, and whenever he met a group of people, he would sit at the end where he arrived without asking to sit in the middle of the group. And he usually talked to people about patience, honesty, the religion, and he used to respect the elderly and be kind to the youngest ones. And these are all the traits of Prophet Muhammad that we learned from reading his life and his history. He was so compassionate to children and who protected even the rights of the strangers, and he was loved by everyone and respected as well. While celebrating today the anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, of course, the President is going to honor a number of those working in serving Islam and the call for Islam, and those who enrich these efforts, be it inside Egypt or abroad, as usually done in the ceremony of the anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, to uphold the value of Prophet Muhammad and this religion, in addition to celebrating with the Muslims this great day, the birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. Prophet Muhammad never looked down upon anyone and never intervened in any internal affairs of anybody. And while celebrating his anniversary today, we are not only celebrating this prophet who has reached perfection, but in fact we are celebrating the divine message to humanity in the form of a divine message that was the end of all the previous sacred religions and divine messages. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was honest in delivering this divine message. And he gave advice to the nation and did not leave it except by telling them about everything, warning them from deviation from these principles and values that would lead to their destruction. And Prophet Muhammad, through his sermons and through what we read about his life and through his prophetic sayings, that we need all to enjoy the good traits and ethics and morals. And the final sermon and the preach that was given by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said, I left you with this religion, and those who deviate from it and deviate from the jurisprudence is going to be destroyed, and those who would live would find a lot of differences. So we need to hold on to my sunnah and the sunnah of my companions, so cling on to them. And this divine religion has widely spread like sun in the east and the west of the whole planet, and this was one of the miracles of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. And some of the companions of Prophet Muhammad said that, peace and blessing be upon him, he was so kind, he was compassionate, and he always used kind words in talking to people. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, delivered the divine message, and he advised the nation. And peace and blessing be upon him. After spreading this religion in achieving a miracle that this religion is going to be everywhere on this planet, and he used to talk about this confidently as if he is saying the future and as if he can see the future. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said that this religion would be everywhere like day and night. And Thu'ban said that Allah made the Prophet see the east and the west, and the Prophet saw that his nation and the Muslims would be everywhere. The miracle in these two prophetic sayings lies in the fact that the Prophet Muhammad told this to his companions and enemies. He told both of them that religion is going to be spread at a time when Islam was only in the Arab Peninsula, and this promise back then was like an impossible dream. And yet Prophet Muhammad was confident of this, and that's why he was able to tell this to people to make them patient. Dear viewers, while celebrating today the anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, we are celebrating good traits and morals. We are also celebrating the human perfection symbolized in Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessing be upon him. Prophet Muhammad left to us his sunnah, and of course the Holy Quran before that all, and peace and blessing be upon him, told us to hold and cling on to this. And this can be seen also in the presence of the Quran, as Allah has revealed this Holy Quran and He keeps and protects it. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was considered to be the emblem that guides the whole humanity. And this religion is protected by Allah's promise, and we defend it against all people who attack it, whatever their creeds or nationalities is, and we will never fear anything, as the verse from the Holy Quran says that they want to put an end to this light, the religion, and they would never be able to do it, as Allah would complete this guidance. And in a third verse it says that there is no difference between darkness and light, dead and alive. Allah guides those who wants to be guided, and you won't be able to guide those who are already dead, and you are there also to warn and guide people, but you are not there to judge them. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is this prophet who was granted by Allah to whole humanity. The verse of the Holy Quran says that Allah has gifted humanity this Prophet Muhammad to guide them, teach them wisdom, the Holy Quran, and before they were in full darkness and injustice. If it was not for Prophet Muhammad and the revelation he received from Allah, then humanity would have been still in full darkness till doomsday. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, according to the verse of the Holy Quran, is the beacon that leads us all in this darkness. Allah has said in the verse from the Holy Quran, light, and the Holy Quran came to you. The light is Prophet Muhammad, and the book is the Holy Quran. And as Allah called him the light, He called him also the guidance. And a verse from the Holy Quran was directed to Prophet Muhammad, telling him that we have sent you to guide people and to light the path for them. And Prophet Muhammad is the mercy sent to all mankind, the believers and the non-believers. As the verse says that you were sent mercy to mankind, and as the Prophet says about him, I am a mercy gifted to you. So this is just part of what was given by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, to the nation and to the whole world. He was able to change all the bad traits and practices and misconceptions. That's why we defend himself and we love him even more than our fathers, children, families. The love of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the responsibility of every Muslim. And the Holy Quran in the verse says, if your fathers, sons, brothers, spouses, families, and the money you earned, and the trade you worry about, and the houses you live in are loved by you more than the Prophet and fighting this religion, then wait until Allah comes with his order, and Allah never would guide these misguided people. So we need all to love Prophet Muhammad more than our families and fathers, sons, money, houses, and trade. And this is supported by the verse from Holy Quran. You want to be a believer unless you love Prophet more than his father, his son, and all people. And love here is not talking about emotions and emotional love only. But the love that is meant here is the love of the mind, the selective love that is formed upon study, understanding what was done by the Prophet and his teachings. The love of great people and people who enjoy good morals and noble people is a must. And scientists say that this love with the mind is what is needed in the verse and the prophetic saying, and it is the first step in believing. And the completion of this love is that the feelings and the emotions of the Muslim would follow his mind. Dear viewers, while we are waiting for the entrance of Prophet Muhammad to the room to start this ceremony held by the Ministry of Endowment, we remember the life of Prophet Muhammad and his traits that were told to us by his companions and followers. Peace and blessing be upon him. Was kind, compassion. He did his best. He never raised his voice in roads or markets. And he was always forgiving.
صلوا عليه بلا غاية صلاة دايمة بلا نهاية رفع شانه بقرآنه وبان الحق في الآية صلوا عليه بلا غاية صلاة دايمة بلا نهاية صلاة دايمة بلا نهاية رفع
سطع المدينة، صلى صلاته حلى بصفاته، يا بخت اللي في ظله ماشي يشفع له في مماته. محمد نبينا بنوره هدينا،
من مكة حبيبي نوره سطع المدينة، صلى صلاته حلى بصفاته، يا بخت اللي في ظله ماشي يشفع له في مماته. يا إمامنا يا أمين، يا سند للمسلمين، يا حبيبي يا محمد يا ابن عبد الله، تمت الرسالة تمام والحبيب مسك الختام، طول حياتي وفي صلاتي بدعى أصلي وراه.
مشاهدينا الكرام، في انتظار تشريف
We are waiting for the entrance of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to start the ceremony. After the arrival of the ministers, the officials, Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli.
في انتظار تشريف السيد الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي للقاعة للاحتفال بذكرى مولد النبي الأكرم سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. إن احتفالنا بمولد
Celebrating the birth anniversary of the last prophet is not just a celebration of a great man that history would always remember, but it is another type of celebration. It is celebrating divine revelation, the divine message to mankind, and human perfection in its sublime form.
فنحن اليوم إذ نحتفل
Today, celebrating the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, we are not just celebrating a person who has reached perfection, but we are in fact President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the President of the Republic.
السلام عليكم.
Peace be upon you.
كل سنة وانتم طيبين.
Many happy
أهلاً
returns.
وسهلاً.
Welcome. Please be seated.
ولد الهدى فالكائنات
Guidance was created. The history is smiling and praising him. Your Excellency, President Al-Fattah el-Sisi, the President of the Republic, distinguished guests, many happy returns. May every year carry to the whole Muslim nation every good history and age has smiled for the birth of Prophet Muhammad, the best creator and the last messenger and prophet of Allah, peace and blessing be upon him. While the history and the age smiles, we are also smiling and celebrating this day every year. On this day, we celebrate the birth of Prophet Muhammad. And the best thing to start with is reciting verses from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا وبشر المؤمنين بأن لهم من الله فضلا كبيرا ولا تطع الكافرين والمنافقين ودع أذاهم وتوكل على الله وكفى بالله وكيلا. صدق الله العظيم.
صدق أصدق من قال وصلى على نبي الأمي.
Verse from the Holy Quran talks about Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing him, the Lord of the universe and the whole mankind. The state represented in the Ministry of Endowment focused its efforts on developing the call for Islam through developing sermons, reciters, preachers, and it developed also the historical mosques that are considered to be a great heritage for this country, in addition to the rehabilitation and renovation of all mosques nationwide, as well as working on developing the revenues and the returns of the Ministry of Endowment. And now the speech of Dr. Mukhtar Goma, the Minister of Endowment. Thanks be to Allah, peace and blessing be upon Prophet Muhammad, the last messenger and prophet from Allah, and peace and blessing be upon his family, his companions and his followers. President Abdel-Fattah el-Sisi, the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, distinguished guests, I would like to congratulate you all for celebrating the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, praying Allah to give us many happy returns for this anniversary, and may it carry always to the whole world good. I would like to congratulate the President and our armed forces for the anniversary of the 6th of October victory, confirming that we all stand as one unit behind you, appreciating these great achievements implemented in your wise leadership on the land of Egypt in different fields. The Holy Quran talked about Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, revealing the greatness of his position and his morals and traits. Allah, may glory be to Allah, says that Prophet Muhammad has never said something wrong, and he said that his heart has never said something wrong, and he was never been misguided or tried to misguide other, and he also has learned strongly everything, and his ethics were mentioned in the verse of the Holy Quran by saying that you are of great behavior and ethics. And another verse says that Prophet Muhammad is a good role model for you all. So obeying Prophet Muhammad has become part of obeying Allah, as the verse says that he who obeys the Prophet is obeying Allah, and he warned us from disobeying him or violating his guidance, as the verse from the Holy Quran says that those who would deviate from his guidance might face sedition oppression or great torture and pain. So we need to be disciplined and polite when we talk about Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, or when talking about his sunnah that we cannot live with, as it shows and reveals and explains to us a lot of things that are mentioned in the Holy Quran. Imam Ibn Hazm says that in any verse from the Holy Quran you would never find that you need to pray 3 times or 5 times a day, or the details of how we should pray or what should be done for alms or Hajj or fasting. But this all can be explained and shown in the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, and we differentiate between all these teachings and the variables where the fatwa, the religious opinion, might change with the change of time, circumstances, and places. As Prophet Muhammad has opened the door for these changes to be adopted, Prophet Muhammad says that Allah, may glory be to him, every 100 years send to this nation those who can renew the matters of their religion for them. And of course this renewal is done through diligence as well as studying the new circumstances and differences. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, has adopted this principle and has opened the door for all Muslims. And when Mu'adh ibn Jabal was sent to Yemen, he told him, what you are going to rule with? He said, I'm going to rule with the Holy Quran. And he asked, if it is not there, he will use then the Sunnah. He said, what if you cannot find it? Then I'm going to depend on diligence as well as studying matters. And he did not say that I will wait, or I will stop, or I will send to you a message, or I will send to you a messenger to ask you for your religious opinion. And the Prophet Muhammad does not ask him for that. He gave the opportunity to Muslims and to make their decisions about the new things, and he has opened a new door for that, telling Mu'adh ibn Jabal, thank God that he has guided us to this. From this perspective and in the framework of your guidance and directives to study the text of the Sunnah and the Holy Quran in protecting the main principles of Islam, as well as the importance of building a new generation of Imams who are capable of dealing with the new challenges. We have worked on that through the number of elements. First of all, consecutive and successive training courses in cooperation with Al-Azhar and the legal opinion, and a number of institutions through the International Academy of Endowment that has taken a lot of steps towards universality. In addition to its role in developing the preachers and the imams, it has become the hub for training imams, media professionals, and preachers from different parts of the world who want to study more about Islam and the Islamic jurisprudence. And in our training courses, we try to benefit from different sectors and scientific experiences, as giving a religious opinion in economic issues, medical, veterinary, climatic, agricultural engineering, genetics matters, in addition to other developments. To give a legal opinion about them needs people who are experienced scientifically, so as to give the religious opinion, as the religious opinion in the scientific daily new developments is based on the scientific opinion and does not come before it. And we'd like to emphasize that the religious opinion in the new developments, be it medical, economic, climatic, or scientific, is based on the opinion of the experts in these specialities, and this is what we understood from the verse of the Holy Quran. You need to ask people who are specialized in these fields if you do not know, and these are the people who are specialized in every science. So we ask the physicians about medicine, engineers about engineering, and so on. So there is no contradiction between religion and science. At the end, I would like to emphasize that the message of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was a great opening for life and afterlife, and peace and blessing be upon him. His birth was the birth of a new civilization, the birth of all mankind, and this was summarized by Ahmad Shawqi, the poet, when he said, you have preached for life and afterlife, and for religion their sciences. The reader of the sermon, and he said that the guidance was born, so the history is smiling and praising him. The spirit and the angels around him are emphasizing the spirit, the life, and religion and life. It talks about both religion and life. So the birthday of Prophet Muhammad and the anniversary of this birth reminds us of everything that was done, and this comes in day and night, remembering us of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. And let me, Your Excellency, present to you in my name and on behalf of all the staff of the Ministry of Endowment a copy from the Holy Quran, praying Allah to protect you and protect Egypt from all evils, and many happy returns to you all, and peace and blessing be upon you. Egypt, the heart of Islam and the heart of the nation and the heart of the whole world since old ages. Throughout history, it has always celebrated Prophet Muhammad and his family. And this will be there up till doomsday. Egypt, mentioned in the Holy Quran, will have good up till doomsday, with this documentary about the efforts of the Ministry of Endowment.
آيات من القرآن الكريم لخصت
from the Holy Quran that summarize the objective of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, message, who was described by Allah to enjoy great ethics. In fact, we love Prophet Muhammad and we follow his knowledge, his traits and his teachings to learn more about the values and principles, the essence and the spirit of Islam. We celebrate his birth as a Muslim nation that has its specificity, and we celebrate his birth anniversary to follow into his footsteps and to follow his words and actions. The Islamic world celebrates the birth anniversary of the best human being. The state of Egypt has a long path in this event through a number of messages emanating from the objective of the divine message for construction and development. Egypt. The call for prayer from its minarets has always been there. You hear the best prayers, and you can see also the Islamic architecture and its development over 8 years. The state has renovated and maintained mosques nationwide with a unique architectural style that is up to the renaissance of the new republic. The number of mosques that were renovated and constructed and rehabilitated reached more than 4,200 new mosques up till now. The state of Egypt has given great importance to these historical mosques, like the maintenance and the renovation of the mosques of the members of the family of Prophet Muhammad, due to its historical importance and due to its great position in the hearts of the Egyptians. The Egyptians love it, and this is highlighted by the concern given by the president to develop it so that Imam al-Hussein would be the first mosque to be renovated and what is inaugurated in celebrating the Revelation night this year. And this is the sword of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. And things did not stop regarding the renovation of the mosques, but it included also the meaning of these mosques. The Ministry of Endowment gave great importance to the Holy Quran to apply it on the ground. Since the year 2013 and up till now, they inaugurated 1,600 Quranic schools and established 620 reading and Quranic centers for people. And this year there started to be Quranic schools for men and women, for those who enjoy good voices, to teach them how to recite the Holy Quran and to spread this between of them. So more than 3,500 Quranic schools were established nationwide. And because this is Egypt, and it has been known for the Islamic songs, and it has lived through a great heritage with the sounds and the voices of those known. And with a clear philosophy and due diligence adopted by the state towards the children, a number of activities were provided to them through the cultural project for the children, as well as conducting different activities in a modern method, one of which is the recitation courses, as well as the explanation of the meaning of the Holy Quran, and also videos that are loaded on the websites of the Ministry of Endowment for children to watch them, as well as different educational activities in the puppet theater, and also translation in sign language for children with disabilities, as well as the translation of books in braille form. And the President has given great importance to investing in human beings and building human beings through an academic message, and establishing a training academy that has provided about 165 training programs since its inauguration up till today. It started as a national one, and it became international as it is training now foreigners from abroad, and the number of African and foreign countries are sending their students to be taught on the hands of the specialists and experts in Egypt. The new republic that looks for further development has multiple wealth. It lies in the spirit, so it's moving towards the sky while looking at the past, seeking everlasting. Egypt, the kind of art and civilization, the country of science and scientists. Its history is full of voices that came from the sky when they recite the Holy Quran, and its presence is full of voices that can be up to the old voices. So the nice voice and mixing this with realizing the words are all achieved on this great land, and there is a great opportunity for creativity. The song Prophet Muhammad is the moon, and also the song Allah, I am standing by your door will be sung now by the chorus.
سناها الله الله من المولى على المختار طه الله الله ورب العرش أهدانا شذاها فبتنا عمرنا نشتاق طه وليس الحب إلا حب طه الله الله وليس القرب إلا ساح طه الله الله وليس النور إلا وجه طه وليس العشق إلا عشق طه وكف المصطفى كالورد نادي الله الله وعطرها يبقى إذا مست أيادي الله الله وعم نوالها كل العباد حبيب الله يا خير البرايا والأسهار من يعد بك لن يشقى إلى الأبد مهما لقيت من الدنيا وعارضها فأنت لي شغل عما يرى جسدي تحلو مرارة عيش في رضا تحلو مرارة عيش في رضا في رضا تحلو مرارة عيش في رضاك وما أطيق سخطا على عيش من الرهج وانظر لحالي وانظر لحالي في خوف وفي طمع هل يرحم العبد بعد الله من أحد
إني ببابك مولاي إني ببابك قد بسطت يدي من لي ألوذ به إلاك يا سندي. مولاي إني ببابك قد بسطت يدي
كما قيل إن القرآن نزل بمكة.
The Holy Quran was revealed in Mecca and was interpreted and taught in Egypt. Egypt, the cradle of history, civilization, and the hub for all scientists, has over the past years developed all sectors on different levels. As if life is constructed by what Allah wants us to do, then the religion of the people would be sound, and also their afterlife would be there. So spreading love, justice, compassion, and tolerance. This would be done with the speech of the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, thanks be to Allah. Peace and blessing be upon Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, and his followers. President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi, the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, may God protect him. Distinguished guests, peace and blessing be upon you. Many happy returns, and may every year carry to you the President, the Muslim world, the presidents, the kings, the rulers, the nations, more strength, more glory, power, good and blessings. One of the significance of good is that celebrating the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad this year coincides with celebrating October victory. that Allah has gifted to the Arabs and Muslims and provided them with a victory and enabled them to restore their lands and homes after the aggressors were inflicted by a lot of losses and grave damages in casualties, weapons, and machineries. The coincidence between these two events after half a century is a symbol that tells the Muslims that restoring their strength and glory is pinned upon their commitment to following into the footsteps of their noble Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and through thinking of his unique example, building a nation and constructing a civilization like no other civilizations as it exists for 15 centuries, as well as thinking of this and meditating upon it, to think how can we be keen on implementing these human, social, noble values spread by this message, especially compassion, equality, and justice, as well as other values that has been seen in the history of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and his sunnah that should be always before our eyes if we want to be up to our civilization and history that has given the whole world lessons in enlightenment, morals, changing and correcting the path that is acknowledged by the enemies of this civilization before the acknowledgement of its friends and allies. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, paid our attention to that all by saying, I have left to you what if you hold on to, you will never be misguided, the book of Allah and my sunnah. And he said that I left you with this jurisprudence. Its night is like its day, and those who deviate from it are going to be misguided and destroyed. And our world today is in dire need for the guidance of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and the guidance of other prophets and messengers, peace and blessing of Allah be upon them all. And this was after the modern world lost its promises in achieving peace and putting an end to wars, and lost all these efforts for about 4 long centuries. Humanity during these centuries achieved only materialistic development, yet in its materialistic attempts suffered and is still suffering from a great vacuum in values, ethical rules, and spirit. And the crisis has become an ethical, moral crisis in general. And the principle of compassion was the first victim to today's war. It is lost by today's humans. And the value of compassion was the first victim. The human being lost it while he was following the idols of selfishness, self-desires and whims, as well as liberating oneself from the rules of ethics and religion, and the spread of money, the strength of economy, the trade of weapon has become the standard, the only standard in distinguishing good from evil and beauty from ugliness. It has become the rule, that settles the conflicts and disputes in our world, and the wars that, if they erupt, God forbid, will take us and our civilization overnight into what was before the civilization of the Middle Ages. Your Excellency the President, distinguished guests, the principle of compassion and its great importance in stabilizing the lives of nations and communities that we are seeking today, as the blind people is seeking to find a dark hat in a dark room, is one of the most important traits that we need to learn from the anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. Discussing the character of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is a long matter, and it was written in a lot of books and volumes, starting with the divine speech, as Allah has called him two names in this verse. We have sent to you a prophet from yourself who is keen on you and kind to you, and is also compassionate. They said that this verse receives to the mercy sent by Allah to believers only. And this might be true partially, but another verse came to emphasize that the sublime objective of the message of Prophet Muhammad was to deliver his merciness to all mankind, as the verse from the Holy Quran says that we have sent you mercy to all mankind. And this shows that mercy should be applied in all fields: morals, jurisprudence, legislations, with all its dimensions: individual, family, community, international. And peace and blessing be upon Prophet Muhammad. He emphasized this in his prophetic saying, I am a mercy gifted to you, to emphasize that peace and blessing be upon him with all his character and traits symbolizes the mercy of Allah that is gifted to all mankind. And this meaning is repeated in a more comprehensive manner for the third time in the verse, I was sent to you to complete good morals and perfect traits. And this proves that good traits in general is the main objective of the message of Islam, and also the message of all other religions. And this shows how Prophet Muhammad was just to all the previous prophets and messengers by saying that I am coming to complete. So he is coming to supplement and complete what was established by the previous messengers and prophets, and he is not establishing a new moral and ethical system, but he is coming to complete that was established by the previous messengers and prophets. Distinguished guests, I won't be exaggerating if I would say that the mercy of Allah is significant and it cannot be counted or confined. This mercy protected people, and the message of Allah has protected the nations that were about to commit suicide. And you can remember the Persians, the Romans, Egypt, India, the Arab Peninsula, and compare their circumstances when this message was revealed to their circumstances after the death of Prophet Muhammad by 2 decades. Then you will see the difference, and the Holy Quran and the prophetic saying will be proved to be true. And this mercy is being granted to both Muslims and non-Muslims, even those who fought Islam and showed hatred to it. And this mercy was shown by the Prophet even to those who fought him and harmed him. And he did not just showed mercy and forgave them, but he also used to say, may Allah guide my people because they do not know. And the weak segments of his people were given more mercy and support, and he used to tell his companions to feed them from what they eat and to give them clothes. And he used to say, do not torture the creation of Allah, and if you give them a responsibility, help and support them. And he received the man who told him, the messenger of Allah, how many times should I forgive my servant every day? He said 70 times. And he used to warn his companions from calling their servants my slave, because he told them to say my boy and my girl instead. And he used also to tell them to give the servants their wages even before their sweat dries. And he was so kind to children. Anas ibn Malik, talking about how kind he was to children, used to say, I never saw a person who was as kind to children as Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. And he used sometimes to pray carrying Umama, his grandson, from his daughter Zainab. And if he would come to supplicate or to bow, he would put him on the ground. And the girls also loved the Prophet, as the Prophet was kind to girls as he was kind to boys, although the community at that time preferred girls over boys. And he used to say that he would bring up 2 girls until they grow up, then I and him will be together in paradise. And Ibn Mas'ud used to say, I was beating a son and I heard a voice telling me, no, Abu Mas'ud, that Allah is more stronger than you when you show your strength on this boy. So I turned to him and told him, O Prophet, I'm going to release and liberate him. He said, if you did not do it, then he would have gone to hell. And his mercy to orphans is very well known. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was known to be wise enough, as he used to say, the best house in the house of Muslims is the house that has an orphan and the house is kind to him, and the worst house is the house that has an orphan and is unkind to this orphan. And Al-Duha verse says, Duha Surah has a verse that says, do not be unkind to the orphan. And anyone who would read this would be astonished that this religion starts by giving orders to protect the orphan and the poor people, or protect the vulnerable from harming his feelings. And you can see this in Al-Ma'un Surah, and it was one of the first surahs that was revealed in Mecca. It says, have you seen those who raises doubts about religion? They are the ones who are unkind to orphans and do not give food to poor people. And in this surah you will find that those who disbelieve in the religion are the ones who are harsh to orphans and do not feed poor. And if you would continue the surah, you will know more that the disbelievers are the ones who do not support neighbors, even if this support and assistance is very limited and small. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, loved the poor people, and he gave them a lot of support and compassion. And one of his prayers was, may you also make me live as a poor person, and on doomsday send me to paradise as a poor person. And Aisha said that the family of Prophet Muhammad has never been fully stuffed with food for 3 days, and she told that whenever they would slaughter a goat, they would feed it to other people, and they would give it to the poor. And Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said that what was distributed from this goat was the part that would be there to give them good deeds. And he told once Abi Dhar, if you would cook broth, so send some to your neighbors. He said this to Abu Dhar, who was known to be poor, and he was urging his companions and friends to give people, and he also told women to help their neighbors and to support them, whatever small it is. Abu Huraira says that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, used to say, the Muslim woman, remember your neighbors and be kind to your neighbors. Even the weak creatures were not deprived from his mercy and kindness, and he intervened and protected them. And some of his companions said that once they were on a trip with Prophet Muhammad and they saw a bird that has two younger birds. So one of them took it, and the bird kept flying and moving its wings. So Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said, who terrified this bird? Give this bird her sibling. And he used to say, any person who would separate a mother from her child would be separated from his beloved ones on doomsday. And all what we said is just a drop in a sea, showing the mercilessness of Prophet Muhammad as well as his traits and his morals. And we should be guided by this school of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, and use it as a map for the survival of the Muslims and the whole world in their battle today, and in formulating their modern communities to be based on morals besides the scientific and technological path. Your Excellency, the President, once more, many happy returns, and we wish that you would always be supported by Allah, and greetings from Al-Azhar for your efforts and your enormous efforts for the development of Egypt. May Allah support you, and peace and blessing of Allah be upon you. The appreciation and honoring those who excelled in this work is an important, effective example, because it encourages people to excel and to develop their work further. Now, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is going to honor a number of scientists and distinguished ones. Dr. سيف رجب محمد قزامل, the professor in Law and Jurisprudence Law Department, Tanta University. He is honored for all his efforts. Sheikh Muhammed Fathi Abu al-Hussein Muhammad Khashaba, the director of the endowment director in Alexandria. And he is honored for all his work throughout his post. Mr. Abdul Hamid Omar Farrag, the head of the Central Department for Financial and Administrative and Technical Affairs. He is honored for excelling in his work. Dr. Junaya Mahmoud Muhammad Abdul Rahman, the head of the Central Administration for Healthcare Dua Hospital in the Ministry of Endowment. She is one of the team from El-Dua Hospital that has confronted the pandemic COVID-19. Sheikh Saleh Abu al-Qasim Saleh Hussein, the Imam of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz Mosque in Beni Suef, and he is honored for his distinguished performance in the summer program for children. Dr. Ahmed Omar Hashim, the former president of Al-Azhar University.
للعالمين أبو القاسم أحمد ياسين يا جد الحسن والحسين يا مصطفى زاد الحنين يا مسك فداء.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Name of Allah.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thanks be to Allah.
الصلاة والسلام على
Peace and blessing be upon Prophet Muhammad,
وعلى آله وصحبه
his companions.
نشكر الله.
We thank Allah who guided us to that, and we would have never been guided without Allah's guidance. We would like to extend thanks to the leader of our path and the president of our republic, who has given Egypt during this period unprecedented accomplishments. May he be supported by Allah. And we are glad that we are convening with His Excellency and you on this day to celebrate the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad Peace and blessing be upon him. The Prophet who was gifted to us by Allah. And this gift is bigger than all other gifts. Allah has given the people a prophet from themselves. And he said, I was the last prophet. And after all the messengers and the prophets, they all believed in Prophet Muhammad and supported him. And the verse says that you are known by everyone. An angel Gabriel told the Prophet, do you know how this has happened? He said, because whenever I mentioned, you're mentioned with me. Whenever Allah is mentioned, when Prophet Muhammad is mentioned during the prayer, in the call for prayer, we always mention Allah and we mention the Prophet, because we always say there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his Prophet. And Allah has added the name of the Prophet to his name, as in the 5 calls for prayers 5 times a day we praise Muhammad. Peace and blessing be upon him. We are meeting here to revive the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad. We have never forgotten this anniversary. We are just trying to revive our hearts and thank Allah for this great gift by sending you to us. And we have never forgotten the Prophet, and we will never forget him. We remember him every day, and we talk to you, the Prophet. And we always say in every prayer, peace be upon you, Prophet Muhammad, and his mercy and blessings be upon you. We came on your birth anniversary with our hearts full of love to you, and we long all to seeing to you, and we travel to Mecca and Medina to see you and remember you. It was called Yathrib before your presence, and after your presence it became Medina, because it became a paradise after you lived in it. And when you set your foot on it, its soil became full of good odor. And this was a blessing to all mankind. And through your traits and character, we are trying to learn. We love you, the Prophet, remotely, and we have never forgotten you. Prophet Muhammad is inviting us to hold on to truth, Allah's teachings, to unite us all, and to advise people. And Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, says that Allah accepts 3 things for you and refuses 3 things. He accepts you to worship him and to hold on to your unity and to give advice to your rulers. And he hates 3 things, a lot of questions, losing money, and we pray Allah on this great day to make our country safe, as well as all Muslim countries, and to support the President and our leader for the good of Egypt and the nation. Thanks you, and blessing, peace and blessing be upon you. Peace and blessing of Allah be upon Prophet Muhammad, his family and his companions. And now those to be honored from outside the Republic of Egypt. Dr. Muhammad Ahmad Muslim Al-Khalayla, the Minister of Endowment from the Jordanian Hashemite Kingdom. Dr. Abu Bakr Zubair, the Mufti of Tanzania. And because this is full of action, love, then the action shows devotion. And now the speech of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the President of the Republic. Thank you very much. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, a very good day. In the name of Allah, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, distinguished scientists, imams, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you all. Let me, first of all, send my congratulations to the great people of Egypt and all Arab and Muslim nations celebrating the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessing be upon him. Praying Allah to renew this great and blessed anniversary with good for Egypt, all Muslims worldwide, and to deliver peace and security to all humanity. Distinguished guests, this ceremony today is to celebrate the birth anniversary of the last prophet, is considered to be a good opportunity to think of the main aim of his message and to take him a role model in good high morals, so that we would all follow into his footsteps. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was the best, enjoying the higher traits, and he was kind to everyone. He was the best person to his family, spouses, sons and daughters, companions, friends. And Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said that the best one of you is the best one to his family, and I'm the best to my family. And we learned from his high morals that his morals and life was a real interpretation and a real application of the values and morals of the Holy Quran. And one of the most important lessons from which we learn is confronting difficulties and challenges through continuous work and continuous relentless struggle, so that we would use all opportunities. And you are all aware that we are moving together towards construction and development at a very important moment in the history of Egypt, a period that is based on action and production with dedication and devotion to reach reach new horizons for the future we aspire to for our country. And this needs, of course, the contribution of all the people of Egypt to continue the right path we started, and to support the development efforts of Egypt through the mega national projects in different fields. I would like to emphasize that the methodology adopting action and belief in Allah, as well as continuous efforts based on using the rules of life, is the wise system that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, followed and inculcated in the spirit of his companions and taught it to his nation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in need celebrating the birth anniversary of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, to be guided by his morals and to be keen on the high morals like honesty, keeping promises and pledges, compassion, equality, justice, and compassion, and interpret this into a practical system in our life, and to keep apart from all bad morals that are contradicting with our religion and our civilization. We need also to be aware to the danger of spreading rumors, as Allah, glory be to him, said in his book that anything that is said is under observation. So rumors is crime against the community, and the person who says this is committing a sin because he causes destabilization and chaos. That's why we need all to be aware of those people who have weak spirits and are not criticizing with the objective of development and construction, but they are trying to spread rumors, lies, and sedition. At the end of my speech, I'm fully confident that Allah would support Egypt and its people to achieve all our hopes in building our new republic that we wish in it we would all enjoy a safe, good life, God willing. Thank you. And many happy returns, and may Egypt be always in progress. Peace be upon you. Egypt has always praised and loved the Prophet and his family. Your Excellency the President, many happy returns to you, and many happy returns to all the nation. The national anthem.
Le président El-Sisi vient d'assister à la cérémonie organisée par le ministère des Waqf pour célébrer la naissance du prophète Muhammed, paix et salut sur lui, en présence du Premier ministre Dr Mohamed Bouli, du Cheikh Al-Azhar, Dr Ahmed Al-Taïb également était présent avec un mot de circonstance, le ministre des Waqf et un certain nombre de dignitaires de l'État.